Hey everybody, it's Coach Leah. Listen, in this episode, the ladies and I have a very real conversation about domestic violence and intimate partner abuse. Parts of this conversation may be triggering for some. If you are struggling with the effects of domestic abuse, be it physical, sexual, emotional, verbal, or any other type of trauma for that matter, I want you to know that there is help and you are not alone. Find someone to talk to, a professional, a counselor, a therapist, or a pastor or someone that's certified in this area. There is power in your voice, and together, our voices can bring change. Peace, y'all. My name is Leah Huggins. I'm a wife, a mother, and a proud U.S. Navy veteran. After 2 tours to Iraq, my husband was diagnosed with PTSD. My world spiraled out of control as fear, anxiety, doubt, and depression took over. I gave my life to Christ, took on a new mindset, and let go of the negativity of my past. I now help wives to find healing, encouragement, and strategy to overcome the effects of PTSD on their daily lives and in their marriage. So come on in and let's talk about it. Welcome to Marriage, Motherhood, and PTSD. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Marriage, Motherhood, and PTSD. This is the place where I empower and encourage women to take back their life as I give them the tools that are needed for self-love, growth, and resilience. I'm your host, Coach Leah, and I'm so glad you joined us today. Well, you guys, I am so excited about today's show. We have a powerful show for you today. I did some research, y'all, and I found that 1 in 3 women in the United States experiences some form of physical violence by an intimate partner. Also, 41% of women experience sexual violence, physical violence, or stalking. And over 61 million women have experienced psychological aggression by an intimate partner in their lifetime. The CDC says that intimate partner violence is considered a public health issue and that it has a profound impact on your lifelong health and your well-being. And that is why we're here today. I want to pour into those women that may have experienced or may be experiencing abuse, even those who are unaware that they are in an abusive relationship. I want to shine a light on this issue and let you know you're not alone. You can survive, you can make it, and there is life, good life, that's there for you after having gone through abuse. I have 2 amazing women that are here today. They're going to share their story. I can't wait for you to meet them. Now, these are not just any women, okay? These are my lifelong friends, right? We have known each other since we were kids and we grew up together in Ohio. So our first guest, she's an amazing woman. Not only has she been my bestie since we were, I think, about 11 years old, she is a nurse by profession, and she's the founder of Mercifully Mended, which is an organization that assists in rehoming domestic abuse survivors. Y'all help me welcome to the show my friend, Miss Tamia Harris. Yay! Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Also, we have another amazing woman here. She is a mom of an amazing 9-year-old daughter. She's so sweet. And she's an attorney for a Fortune 500 company. She also volunteers her time with legal aid in her local hunger center. And she is an amazing woman and friend. I can't wait for you to hear her story and for you guys to meet her, okay? Y'all help me welcome Miss Stephanie Adams. Yay!
Hi, everyone.
Hey, ladies, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so glad to have you on with me and that you all came to talk with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, absolutely. So tell the people about yourselves. We'll start with you, T. Tell the people, okay, I'm sorry, I'm very casual right now, being very casual. Her name is Tamia. I know her as T. But yes, T, tell the people about yourself. Tell them where you're from and what you do.
So I am from Cleveland, Ohio, born and raised. I graduated from Kent State University in 2002 with a bachelor's of nursing. I am not so inclined to get any of the degrees.
I got enough.
Yeah, I started and stopped, went straight through. I got a bachelor's and I am okay. So I started off my career in telemetry, which is a cardiac piece of nursing. And as soon as I could get out of Cleveland weather, I did. And
Well,
so I became a travel nurse. I went to Florida, I went to Michigan, I went to California, and of course, I stayed in California. So I was there for about 13 years. And then I came back home in 2017 to be with family. Um, I was out there by myself, family's getting older, right? And so
yeah.
I came home to visit my grandmother. She was kind of end stage Alzheimer's. And I looked at her and I was like, if I leave, I'm not gonna see her again.
Mm,
So God has a plan, right? And so
absolutely.
for some reason, I had booked a one-way ticket. And when I said I wasn't going back, I didn't go back. And I sold my house in California from here in Cleveland, and I just started making a new way. My grandmother passed in 6 months after that,
Yeah.
and I'm still here. I said, well, I'm gonna give y'all a year, right? I'm gonna give you a year, and then I'm leaving. I'm going back somewhere. 7 years later, I'm still here.
Still there, still there. Nothing wrong with that. That's
Yeah.
hey, you're grounded. You're grounded
I
there.
am.
That's
I am.
good.
And I'm so grateful to be here. I miss so much being away.
Yeah.
And it's such a blessing to now be able to be here for my family. I work in the cath lab, which is kind of like an emergency department for heart. So people having heart attacks, needing pacemakers, defibrillators, electrical studies, we handle that. And so it's been great. It's been great being back, and I'm happy. I'm happy I'm home.
Awesome. Awesome. Stephanie, tell us about yourself. Hey, girl.
Well, first we have you home too.
Okay. Right.
So my name is Stephanie Adams, and what about me? Oh my gosh. I went to Ohio University for undergrad, then Youngstown State for grad school, and the University of Akron for law school.
She's
I
smart.
have been, I know, no more degrees here either, sis. I've been a practicing attorney in Cleveland for going on 20 years shortly. And
Wow.
I have tried cases all over the US, but there was a little break in my career where I decided I was going to leave a law firm and I moved to Columbus. And that is where I got married and had my daughter and left my marriage while I was pregnant because things, went left really quickly in that situation. And I relocated back to Cleveland, and I've been here rebuilding. I feel like we're pretty successful. I think I'm on an upturn, but
Yeah.
God is with you in the peaks and the valleys.
There
So
you
there's
go.
there's a little bit of always something as we get older. It's we manage,
Yeah.
but it's been it's been good to be back home. I guess we've all tried to move away. You're the only person that came back home, Leah.
Listen, that's because everybody gone. My
Right.
family, they all gone. So, but I
They
do need
moved,
to come
yeah.
back and visit. I would
Yeah, you
love
gotta
that.
come visit. You
Yeah,
gotta come visit.
yeah. Oh, well, I have smart friends. Y'all hear that? I got a nurse and a lawyer. Don't mess with us. So, thank you again for being here. So, I really wanted to tackle this topic of abuse and domestic violence because I know the effect that it can have on you. Um, even when you're out of the situation, it can still have an effect on you and it can change the way you view the world or the way you see yourself. And abuse can happen to anybody. There's no specific demographic that it affects. It doesn't matter how educated you are, how rich you are, you can still fall victim to abuse. So I want to hear a little bit about your relationship, how you met. Stephanie, you gave us a little bit how you met. When did things change? When did you notice things were changing?
I think that hindsight is obviously 2020. There's so many things that when you look back on and you're like, oh, I probably should have looked at that differently.
Mm-hmm.
But we were married, and it was probably on our honeymoon. There were some things that started that
Wow.
I questioned. It was like a switch flipped. I
Yeah.
was property all of a sudden. I had less say about things that we discussed when we were dating and we were engaged. We made plans. We were going to do it this way, and then all of a sudden he could change the plan without telling me or anything. So I was always confused or walking on eggshells. And if I reminded him, we had agreed to do it this way, it was an argument.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime I shared how I felt, it was an argument, and it was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I think the idea that anything that I needed, when I was able to communicate what I needed, not what I wanted. You know, we have wants.
Yeah.
I mean, what I needed. Here's what I need from my partner. And it was automatically a no.
Wow.
I knew something was off.
How about you, T?
Girl.
Yeah.
That thing started in college, child. And
wow.
you know, I met him in college, and you young and dumb, right? And so the flags that were blaring red in college, I didn't know what a red flag was, right? I was just happy to be in college, and he cute, and you know, he jealous of who I'm talking to. It's cute, right? It's cute that he got attitude.
We think it's cute. Yep, we think it's cute.
And even before, and it's funny because we didn't date long. I can't even really say we dated.
Yeah.
But you know, the characteristics of a narcissist is they're so charming, right? The love bombing, I fell quick and hard.
Yeah.
And you know, looking back, it's like he was a womanizer then.
Yeah.
He was a narcissist then. He had anger issues then, right? But again, I heard stories about him getting mad and punching the wall. And you know, he wouldn't ever get mad at me like that.
Yeah, because it wouldn't happen to you.
Right. Because I'm too dope. Right. Yeah. I'm too good.
Right.
You know, like why would I bring that out of somebody? Because I'm me, right? And so I'm over here being goofy, hyping myself up to be more than I can't do anything about his character, right?
Yeah.
He is who he is. And so we, you know, like I said, we weren't together long, but I was crazy about him. And so when we stopped talking because of another woman, it really hurt. And we rekindled years later through dang on Facebook, child. Y'all leave your friends and pass.
Yeah, that's social media.
Oh my God. And so we reconnected on Facebook, and it's, you know, just talking to him, it seemed like he had done so much with his life. And here I go, that same fluttery feeling that I had in college came right back. You know, all the things that made me swoon, I was swooning all over again.
Not swooning.
And next thing I know, child, I'm getting hemmed up because I stay late after work, and I didn't know he was home, so I didn't say nothing. I came home after work, and he was like, "Where you been?" I'm like, "Work." "Well, why you didn't tell me you were gonna be late, or why didn't you call like you normally do?" And I'm like, "Well, I didn't know you were. I didn't know you were waiting. You said you were doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
you must have been with somebody." And I'm now getting flung, and I'm like, not the kid, you know?
Yeah.
But it was so classic. It was classic textbook. Everything from that moment on was textbook.
Classic.
Abuse.
Wow. So I know, Stephanie, you talked about red flags. I know from what you were saying that you wished you knew then what you know now, and you saw the red flags.
Yeah.
When you did start noticing the red flags, what was it? What were the red flags for you?
So for me, one thing that always ended in an argument, when I relocated to Columbus, my whole family was in Cleveland, and my family always wanted to come and visit. And that was always an issue. And I never understood it. And it's because those are the people that build me up while he's steadily, you know, mentally and emotionally tearing me down. And you're so close to, you know, I'm going to be a puddle in 2 seconds. And then my family, hey, we're in town and we want to come visit. And I'm excited to see my people. And it was always an issue. And that was, I was 4 months pregnant, and it was Father's Day was coming up. And my father, my stepmother, my brother, and my mother were going to come to Columbus, and we were going to do something for my dad for Father's Day. And that got me, that was the first time he hit me.
Wow.
He was very upset that my family was going to come, you know, and support me and love on me. And we're having our first child or whatever. And it was supposed to be a joyous time. And it was, I wasn't allowed to be happy, but it was little stuff like when Timmy was talking about social media. You know, I posted one time on Facebook, you know, I'm happy. I'm so happy today. You know, what God is blessing me with this, that, or the other. And that man came home and slammed the door and said, "Who told you you get to be happy?" And I was like what? Like, so when It was everyday eggshells. It's that feeling in the pit
Mm-hmm.
of your stomach, and I say it's a Brillo pad. That's what I call it now. Because now when I have
Mm-hmm.
that kind of anxiety feeling around other people, I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't even have to justify why I don't want to be around you. I'm just not
Right.
going to be around you, right?
Yeah.
I'm honoring the energy in the space because I had that
Yeah.
feeling, and it was butterflies when we dated. And
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't the idea that I was away from all of the people who cared about me made me a total easy target. I didn't know anybody there. I had moved there for a
Yeah.
job and I'm trying to make friends and get acclimated to the city. So he knew I didn't know anybody. And at a minimum, my folks 2.5 hours away, right?
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
kind of figured he would have carte blanche control and whatever. So the fact that I wasn't following suit, like, no, I want to see my family, that was an issue. I still find that weird, but I understand now the dynamics of breaking me down and keeping me away from my
Isolating.
support system
Yeah.
and making sure that I don't have an access to a friend or a pastor or
Yeah.
anybody that will believe me when
Yeah.
stuff starts to happen.
And that happens so smooth. That's my thing, is that it's like they all go by the same book.
And
You know what
is
I
that
mean?
not amazing?
It
They
is.
they
Like
all
y'all
go
had
by the
that, they
same
sell the
book.
book in stores, they must.
Right.
They must. Like they snatch them all out
Yeah.
in a certain grade in school and say,
Right.
you know what, like, hey,
That's
something, because it's the
crazy.
same.
And they and I wonder almost, is it something that, like, do they know that they're doing that? In my mind, I'm thinking it's their insecurity telling them you don't need anybody but me, and these people are going to make you, these people are going to turn you away from me. And it's a fear in my mind. It's like their insecurity doing that. But the way it comes off, especially since you find that in most cases that they put you in this isolation bubble.
Yeah.
It's almost like calculated. You know what I mean? Like,
It is
mm-hmm.
calculated, and it is, when you start to identify and understand what a narcissist is, and because we've done our work now, right?
Yeah.
After the
Right.
trauma and everything, you
Right.
recognize, we've all known each other since we were little girls. We're
Mm-hmm.
empathetic spirits.
Right.
Narcissists seek out empath.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
now I can totally see that I was targeted, more
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
so than this was a natural occurrence of, no, that man picked me out, easily.
Mm-hmm.
And then you give yourself away
Mm-hmm.
by how you respond in certain situations and scenarios. So they start to see that, oh, she's going to forgive a lot.
Yeah.
Plus, her family's away, so she's lonely. So I can prey on little things, like when I think back to dating, when I would say, hey, I just want tonight for myself, or I'm going to read, or I'm going to do whatever. And he would still show up. I thought, like you said, the love bombing and everything. I thought it was so cute that, oh, you can't be without me for the day. That's control, baby. I said I
Yes, it
wanted to be
is.
by myself for 30 minutes and I couldn't get that. And I
Right.
did not see it that way at all. You're not
Yeah.
allowed to be by yourself. You're not allowed to recenter. You're not allowed to refocus. Your focus is all about me, or you don't get nothing else to focus on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see it very clearly now, but I did not at the time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for me, being that I came home to be with family,
Yeah.
um, my grandmother had gotten sick and passed, and my stepfather got sick, but my whole family was here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I spent a lot of time going to someone's house for something, whether it was my
Yeah.
sister, my father, my mother, my best friends, or my sorority
Yeah.
sisters.
Mm-hmm.
I had plenty to do that was completely innocent, but I found myself always trying to explain myself. And that
Oh.
right there was probably the biggest red flag.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't have to explain the fact that I'm over my mom's house, or
Right.
that I'm at my grandma's house who has Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
But your insecurities won't allow you to believe that I'm not doing what you would be doing.
Mm.
Right. And so I'm continuously trying to explain where I'm at and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it got to a point to where it was like, and it, like you said, it's so smooth, it's so subtle. It got to a point to where I was like, I'm tired of fighting this man. I'm gonna just stay home. And that's how my isolation started to happen. Right.
Yeah.
Everybody was probably the farthest from me was 30 minutes, maybe.
Wow.
Right. But I was like, I don't have time for him to be telling me I smell different, I feel different, I look different.
Mm-hmm.
You put your lipstick on. You used to put your lipstick on when you leave the house. Now you put it on when you come. Like, it was just,
Yeah.
it was just all kind of accusations that I was continuously fighting. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, but that's your insecurity, not It's not me.
There you
And
go.
it took all that stuff I had to go through to be realize like the issue is you. It's not me.
Right.
Right. But like Stephanie said, we're so empathetic, we're so loving, we're so eager to please, right? And like, let's just say what it is. We good girls, right? So
Yeah.
the things that, honestly, the things you're accusing me of, I wouldn't even think about doing. Like,
Right.
why do you think that?
And then you
Right?
find yourself, like Stephanie said, walking around on those eggshells,
Yeah.
trying not to do what they think you're doing or
But
what
you
they want
wouldn't
to
do it in the
accuse you.
first place.
Right.
You haven't done it, you wouldn't done
Crazy.
it.
Right.
You wouldn't do it. And the other thing that we never consider is all of the allegations and accusations should have been telling us because they projected
That's
onto
what they're
us.
doing.
You're
Yeah.
doing
Absolutely.
something. That's why you keep accusing me first. But then also it keeps us in a position of being defensive so that we never get to actually say, wait a minute, why are you accusing me? You know, is there a bigger conversation to have? I remember I had about 125 cases at the time, and I had not messed up anything at work. That was the one thing that saved me. I'm not losing my mind because I'm able to do this okay, right? At home, I had Post-it notes up to remind myself of the conversation that we had because I knew he was going to come and say something else happened. And I had to, you know, you are smart, you are beautiful, you are powerful. I had to remind myself of those things because the person who said that they love me was steadily tearing me down. So I was confused about, did I mess up the dinner reservations or did I forget to I didn't forget none of that. It was all him, and it was all to intentionally make me feel like I was off kilter so that he could keep control.
Well, and then you learn that that's all a form of gaslighting.
Yes.
Gaslighting. Exactly.
Like I remember like y'all, I'm not kidding y'all. I remember like Stephanie said, like I know this is what happened. By the time he got done talking, I would be like, well, maybe I did drive myself.
Right.
You saw me at the store, but maybe
thoroughly confused.
Maybe I was. Yeah. Do you know if they had a history of abuse in their previous relationships?
Did. Well, not even previous relationships. Father.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So I think part of it is innate, part of it is learned.
Yeah.
The best, the worst of both worlds in that.
Grew up real bad. But I found out after we were married, he was still dating folks. Like the one lady I talked to, his ex-wife.
Yeah.
She said she thought they were getting back together, and the only reason she knew that he got married was because he had posted our wedding pictures on Facebook. But she told me, you know how on Facebook you have your profile picture and you have that picture in the background of
cover photo,
right?
It's called the cover photo. The cover photo was actually him, her, and his son, and he just cut off a part of it.
Wow.
They had just actually had a trip together before he proposed. So, I mean, when God is good. When you look back on it, you have no idea how you didn't drown. You know, also overwhelming him. But definitely had a poor familial history, insecurity, and for real, you learn some of this stuff from your father. But I don't think he liked women at all, to be honest. And so I never was able to figure out who, why, when, where. Is that your mother, or where? You know, did you get your feelings by some girl? You know, and you never recover. I had no idea, but all bad. And all him, like all mental, all in his head, all his
So a lot of abuse is mental, as you just said. And of course, abuse is rooted in fear and control, just like we talked about earlier. So besides affecting you physically, you know, of course, it can do a number on you emotionally. I want to talk a little bit about the inner dialogue in your head during that time. Like, what were the conversations like in your head?
So because I was married to this man, you know, I would, and we all of us grew up religious, so we know what we were taught about marriage. We know what the Bible says about marriage, and there are some unspoken, women keep marriages together, right? He can sort of do a little bit of whatever he wants, and if you've accepted that, because now that's your partner, you got to figure out how to. But I remember trying to ask my parents, you know, here's what's happening. This is not what I see in your marriage. How do I have this conversation with him so that it doesn't go left? Nobody ever said when you talk about how you feel or what you want, it shouldn't be an argument. Nobody said stuff like that. I tell my daughter that to this day now. just saying how you feel or what you want should not have somebody slamming doors and breaking
Exactly.
dishes. Like, you should be able to say, I don't like this or I want that, and it doesn't start a fight.
Right.
But I felt invisible. I kept trying to explain to people what was happening. I don't think this is right. I don't think this is how marriage is supposed to be. I don't think this is, and everybody, oh, you know, the first year is so rough because you guys are learning each other and you got to, so everybody kept giving me that. And then they started to see it, you know, too. And now, I mean, now I won't say it's too late. I got my daughter, you know, but by that point, it was so bad that all I could do was curl over and grab my belly. And, you know, I just wasn't gonna let you hurt her. And I knew I was having a daughter. I say this all the time to young ladies too. We didn't have the test yet. So I wasn't, you know, it wasn't confirmed with medicine, but I knew I was having a little girl. And I knew if I stayed, you're going to do what I do and not what I say do. Cause I'm going to tell you, don't ever let a man talk to you this way, or don't ever let anybody, but if I stay, you're going to do what I do. So I knew I couldn't stay. So the internal dialogue, plus being pregnant, you know, you are completely hormonal, and everything made me cry. But I remember telling myself, you're worth more than this. You know that. I talked to our pastor at the time. He had passed away, you know, but I wrote a letter because I'm ready to leave. I don't know, but I met my vows, you know, we took them before God and all of that. And pastor called and he was like, you know, I said, we said till death do us part. He said, what about the death of your mind? What about the death of your spirit? What about the death of your baby? What about, I mean, he went, I was on crying and crying. And I said, okay, cause it's not just me. Right. And I wanted the biblical explanation for why I get to walk away from this. You know, oh, adultery and abuse is okay, but even if that didn't say that, I'm still not supposed to be here in this. You know what I mean? So
it is in there though. That
it is. And that was, I mean, they found me my out is my point. I wasn't. Even if we'd have never got to that language, it wasn't safe. And I don't think that I had honored who I was as a woman. And I would not have honored who I became as a mother to stay in a situation that would only allow us to keep going on. Whatever his generational curses are, I have every right and goal to stop them. They have to, we can't continue this behavior. I understand that's how you grew up, but I'm also, if it made you feel so bad, why would you choose to do it to somebody else? And I stayed a lot of it once you realize what's going on. And because we're empaths, we're fixers. How can I help you with this? And now I can tell my daughter, you can't be in a relationship and love somebody else for the both of you. That's not how this works. You also are not coming into a relationship thinking this man is making me complete or you're completing him. You're supposed to be complete people before you get together.
That's right.
So my internal dialogue was telling me all of the stuff that we grew up learning, and now I just had to put it in place with the way that life was working out, because it doesn't always work out the way you want.
Yeah. T, how about you?
So you know, here comes the scarlet letter over here.
Not the scarlet letter.
So, you know, my self-talks changed throughout the relationship. When we first reconnected, I was at my heaviest weight-wise. And so, you know, I was at my heaviest. I was transitioning from feeling alone in California versus I want to go back to my family. I'm in a point in my career where I'm not necessarily happy. Just nothing about life was joyous for me.
Gotcha.
And so that, you know, all of that was kind of a open invitation for some shenanigans.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, he helped me in the space of weight loss. I started dropping weight, listening to him and following his directions. And, you know, I started looking great, but the more appreciative I was for how I looked physically, the more stress and wear and tear he put on the mentals and the emotional. And so you know, if at first it was, I'm so grateful for him because He
Mhm.
loved me at my worst. He saw me at my worst. He helped me get better. And then it switched to now I see this man for who he is. But if I could just be a better woman for him, he could be a better man, right? And
Look
so
at that.
to Stephanie, to your point,
Look at that.
you
Because we
cannot you
absolutely
you
That's right.
cannot love anybody enough for the both of you. You
nope.
have to love
That's
you,
right.
Mm-hmm.
right? You have to love you. They have to love themselves. I can't love you enough for you and me.
Correct.
I can't love you enough for you. I can
Mhm.
only love you enough for what God says we have the space to do. But I have to love me first. And I definitely was not there. And whatever self-love I did have, it lessened and lessened and lessened
Mhm.
and lessened as he continued to beat me down. And ain't nobody gonna want you. Who, all you can and everything you can do is in the bedroom.
Mhm.
Which Lord knows that's probably the worst place in the house. Like I ain't got, you know what I mean?
I'm good.
And I say that jokingly, but I'm like, I've never been that kind of person, right?
Mhm.
And so,
Mhm.
but it's all of those things that he put on me that I started to carry.
Yes.
And I started to, in my mind, well, okay, so I have to be better at this. I got to be better at this. I got to be. And so I was driving myself crazy
Mhm.
Yes.
trying to please him, and nothing I did worked to please him. And it started to just become a cycle,
Yeah.
right? And so I was just digging deeper and deeper, deeper into a depression, deeper into isolation. Um, and my family knew, like, it wasn't, I didn't need anybody to tell me, girl, get on up out of there.
Yeah.
It was more of me, like, no, it's me. I'm the problem because I can't
Mhm.
remember to, right? I
Right.
can't remember to call when I get home. And instead of him calling to say to me, I know you absent-minded with
Mhm.
ADD.
Mhm.
Are you home? No, you must have been over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it just continued and continued and continued. And I think it was COVID. COVID was when I had like the awakening to where I
Mhm.
started to be like, girl, what are you doing? Because
Mhm.
now I'm trapped in here with this man,
Mhm.
right? We quarantining together. I go to work, I come home,
Mhm.
and all we can do is look at each other. All I can do is listen to him tell me how I'm not good enough for
But I'm
this, how
not.
I messed this
Mhm.
up,
Yep. Yep.
how how I'm at work humping in the closet like they do on Grey's Anatomy. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Like, and
Crazy
just
stuff.
Yeah.
and then the violence got worse because
Mhm.
we're just trapped in this space,
Mhm.
right? And so
Mhm.
I remember I remember I had started to think, if I don't get out of this, he's gonna kill me. Like,
Mm.
I love him, but I'm not ready to die.
Yeah.
And I literally I was like, I'm not ready to die for this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ready to die. And I was like, I remember I'm laughing, it's not funny, y'all,
Mhm.
but just to think back to how crazy some of the stuff that we endure is.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if it would have been anybody else, I'd have slapped you. Like, girl,
Right.
Right. What you doing?
Yeah.
Hello.
help me. Like,
It's hard to
what
take
am
your
I
own
doing?
advice.
It is.
Right. And so I remember he had asked, like, he wanted to know everybody I had even kissed
Mm.
from childhood. And I was like, didn't you not, y'all heard me say I got ADD, right? I undiagnosed, but my brain, I don't know. And
Yeah.
so he got so mad and I wrote something down. He got so mad, he slapped me.
Mm.
And this is a big dude, like, this ain't no little itty bitty something,
Mhm.
right? So he slapped me and I saw stars, like, oh, Jesus.
Mm.
And so that's when I was like, he gonna kill me.
Mm-hmm.
He gonna kill me. Because he said to me, you lie again to me, it's gonna cost you your life.
Oh my
Well,
God.
I ain't lied yet, but you
Right.
Yeah.
think I'm lying. So
Right.
I can't leave my life in your hands when you're
Yeah.
telling me you gonna kill me if you think I'm lying, and you clearly think I'm lying about everything.
Yeah.
So then I start backtracking to God, like, Lord, if you get me out of this, I promise you,
Mhm.
I will serve you. God, just get me out of this. If you
Mhm.
show me the escape, right?
Mhm.
Because he always got a ram in the bush and an escape. If you
That's
Mhm.
right.
give me my escape, Lord, I promise you, I will take it. I will not look back.
Mhm.
And y'all, I kid you not, it will, and it always stuff I don't know about you, but my stuff always happened like in the middle of the night. It was always we in the bed, it's dark, and it starts with a so, and I would be like, oh, here we
Right,
go.
here we
Oh,
go.
what?
Because you can't
Yep.
get no rest. You're not allowed
Right.
to get no peace. And
That's
it's
another
Done.
tactic.
yes,
It's
Yes.
it
another
is.
tactic.
That's
And
another.
then
It's another
and they
strategy.
wear you down.
Oh
Absolutely.
That's what it
God,
is to
y'all, I
wear you
swear when I
down.
finally did leave, I slept so much. I
Oh
slept,
my
I
God.
slept so much. But
Yeah.
I was like,
The
I remember
rest.
him saying so, and I was like, here we go. And he asked me a question, and I gave him the answer, whatever the answer was. And I
Mhm.
knew he thought I was lying. And so it was a king size bed, and I could hear him like rustling and tussling, trying to get up. And I flipped the light on. He was on one side of the king size bed, I was on the other. And while he was trying to like swing to hit me, in my head, I was like, yo, you closest to the door. You can make it.
Mhm.
And so transparent, right? We among family and friends.
Mhm. Mhm.
Y'all, I had nan piece of clothing on.
Mhm.
It was 1 o'clock in the morning. I lived in an apartment.
Mhm.
And I was like, I could stay here and try to fight this fool and try to block and right. I could do all of that, or I can roll. And
Mhm.
I decided like I'm out. I
Yeah.
took off running. I ran out the room. I ran out the house. To this day, like when you talk about the mentals, to this day, I can still hear him calling my name. Like
Mhm.
the anger and the depth of how he was calling my name, because he didn't think I would leave, right? He didn't think I would leave, and I thought he would change, right? And
Yeah.
so that's a pattern that a lot of
Yeah.
us get stuck in. They
Yeah.
never think we're gonna leave, and we always think they're gonna change. So I knew I had to go or I was gonna die. I grabbed my keys on the way out the door. I ran down. I'm running through the hallway downstairs with no clothes on. Jumped in the car and was literally driving down the street bucket naked.
But naked.
And I luckily I remember I had a trench coat and some work shoes in the car.
In
And
the
I
car.
remember I pulled over in a McDonald's and I put on the trench coat. I put on the shoes. I didn't have no wallet, no phone, nothing. I had the car keys, and I drove to my sorority sister's house. And it was the start of the pandemic. So in my head, I'm like, where can I go? Right?
Mhm.
Who gonna let me in their house? We
Mhm.
under lockdown. I'm like, I can't go to mom's house. Everybody going to jail.
Yeah. Somebody go get it tonight.
So I ended up like tapping on her window at probably 2 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
And I can't say I didn't look back, but I didn't go back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. And
Agreed.
so, there were times where, the whole, I promise I'll get better. I'm in counseling, right?
Mhm.
I'm in therapy. And he used to say, if you knew who you was with, you would move different.
Mhm.
And so I like that was what used to hold me back then. Like I thought I had something, right? I
Yeah.
thought I had a catch in
Mhm.
him.
Mhm.
So I got to figure out how to move to keep the catch. Well, you in my house, you driving my car. I got
Right.
3
The whole
immigrants.
time you the cat. Hello? Like,
Like I'm
Right.
trying,
so far
I'm
away.
trying to watch my words, but come
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
come on, somebody. You know what I'm saying?
True.
You better try to catch me,
That's
fool.
the
Yeah.
truth.
And
Yeah.
so, I afterwards we were talking one time, and and it's always Pat, my mom. My mom's name is Pat. It's
Mhm.
always Pat that I'm always going to see my mom. Me and my mom are really close,
Mhm.
and so I had went over my mom's house, and he was like, well, why you didn't call? Why you ain't let me know? Or whatever. Why you ain't let me know you was back or going or whatever.
Mhm.
He was like, I keep telling you, if you knew who you was with, I was like, I would move different. Yeah, I'm good. And
Yeah.
that was it. That was all I needed to be like, this man has not changed an
Nope.
iota,
You're
right?
not
You
capable
can
of
cover
change.
it up, you can put it to the side, but that narcissistic abuser that you showed me, you will always be.
You'll always be
I
there.
don't care what therapy you go through. I don't care what counseling. I don't care what God you praying to.
Mm.
Because don't get me wrong, we were a praying couple, right?
Mhm.
We were in church. We threw the
Wow.
Bible back and forth.
Wow.
Wow. Let's
You
sit
know,
right there for a minute.
That's because, hey,
let
us too. Us too. We went to church.
Wow.
We went to church. I remember after he hit me and I said, I can't do this. I said, are you going to get help? And he said, if it's a problem, it's your problem. I said, oh, well, I got a problem.
Mm,
I got a problem. Like, I'm not about to just sit here and get
yeah.
hit on. And I remember asking my cousin, I have family members who have been in abusive relationships, and I'll share a little bit about my history because after I left him, I started to do some work. My mother was always in abusive relationships, so I've seen this
Wow.
firsthand as well. But
Yeah.
I remember calling my cousin because she was married for quite a while and her husband was abusive. I said, I need to leave. I'm just going to tell him I don't want to do this no more. And she said, you cannot look a grown man in the face, pregnant with his baby, and tell him you about to leave. And I was like, oh, yeah. Like, like, oh, yeah, you right. So she was like, get you a suitcase, hide it under the bed or in the garage or whatever. And she said, just start squirreling some stuff away little by little. I left that man with 5 maternity dresses, the shoes on my feet, like pots and pans and some plates, and I went and rented me an apartment for 6 months. Something happened that he had to go out of town, like to visit somebody or do something for work. And the minute he left, I left. I went to that apartment and I was in that apartment and I never looked back. And oh my gosh, the piece of it all. I remember I took a picture of our wedding and I took a picture from our honeymoon and I put him on the shelf and I said, if I ever think I miss him or I should go home, 2 days later, them pictures was down. I was at peace. Yeah. Like I had knots in my back. I was so stressed. I just all bad. But and for us to be, like you said, a praying couple, we talking to the same guy, right? I went to church. This also was part of it too. There was like a couples retreat revival at church. And we were supposed to go together and he got mad at me for something I did that I don't know, but I went by myself and it was the pastor's wife that preached this portion. And I sat in the back and cried the whole time because she started talking about the power of womanhood and what it meant to be a wife and a supportive partner, how God had put something in you to help feed. And I was like, oh, no, I don't have none of it. Like, no, this is not.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And what sits out to me the most is that I know both of y'all. And I know y'all are strong women. And it just goes to show that it can happen to anybody. You're opinionated. You speak up for yourself. You're smart. You're resourceful. It can happen to literally anybody. And that is, to me, that's scary. You know what I mean? It's scary. We could sit in and talk forever on this, but I do want to keep moving. Y'all are giving me some really good information, and hopefully somebody listening to this show definitely is learning from you and finding out what they can do, especially if they're in the same situation. I want to get to back to what you were saying, Stephanie, about how you packed up little by little. It's so important to have a plan because this bothers me so much whenever I hear somebody talk about how, a woman, she stayed there, so she must like it, or she stayed there. Why didn't she get up? If I was you, I would have got up and left. A lot of women stay in abusive relationships. Number one, I think the number one reason that women stay in abusive relationships is they don't realize they're in one. That's one. And then number two, you don't know that person's situation. You don't know. And when you're talking about leaving somebody, especially if you've created a family, you got your kids to think about, you have your security as well too. You're concerned if there's a mental issue going on there. You're concerned about, are they going to cause harm to themselves? Are they going to do harm to themselves? Are they going to do harm to me? All of that. It's just crazy to think about that.
To be honest and to be fair, anybody in an abusive relationship, it is not that we don't realize that we're in an abusive relationship. Whether you are, at some point, it's the truth. Whether you're comparing yourself to your friends, but you've seen your couples, your friends, you've seen whether they're in a relationship or married, you've seen them have arguments, you've seen them make up, what you don't want to admit. That you're in an abusive relationship. Yes. You don't admit, and it is, that's why we stay so long. I'm ashamed, I'm embarrassed. And I remember my family felt so bad when I finally left, because they were all like, you kept trying to tell us something wasn't right and this wasn't. So we had to go through that part of, forgiveness and grace and that, because it felt wrong, but abuse is not the term that I would use for it, but I knew it wasn't right because I have seen my parents have been married for forever. My grandparents were married. I know what marriage is supposed to look like. And it does not go, he get to tear you down and you just got to suck it up and take it or any of that. I remember, matter of fact, now that I'm saying it, we were at an event that was supposed to be for couples. And again, I had done something incorrect. So he's now not going to come with me, but I couldn't skip it. So I was there by myself. And there was a newlywed couple sitting next to me. They had just got married for New Year's, and this was like in January. So they're fresh, you know, off their honeymoon. And he was talking about how his wife wanted this winter wedding, and you know, he knew ever since kindergarten she wanted this and that and whatever, and he wanted to make sure she had everything she needed so that this was the most beautiful day. Man, I was almost in tears at the table because I don't even think my husband liked me, and this man, right? Like, and we still technically newlyweds too. So I was like, when did this rub off? We never had this. And then you hear people say stuff like, I married my best friend, and then I'm like, again, he don't like me, so this is not my best friend. I mean, clearly that's not what I thought I had when I got married. I thought we were, you know, best friends and lovey-dovey. It was none of that. So it is, at some point, you are so ashamed because I am smart, right? Because how come I didn't see through this? Oh my gosh, now this makes so much sense. And now you're going to try to love him for the both of us, right? You know, then you start, who going to believe me? It's not that they don't know, who going to believe me?
And you know, the other thing, and this is how I came to Mercifully Mended. You know, abuse is all about control and power, right? And so majority of the time the abuser controls the money.
Yes.
Right? Whether they make the money or they get the money. A lot of people don't have anywhere to go when they leave. Or they don't have enough to stay gone when they leave. Right? And so that's why a lot of people stay too. And so I was blessed because, like I said, it was all me. Like when I left the apartment, I left him in my apartment. Right? So then it was just a matter of getting him out of my apartment because I got somewhere to go. You don't.
You don't.
Right?
Exactly.
I drove away from the situation in my car.
Right.
You don't have a car here. Right? And so that's important to remember. You know, when you decide to leave, it's probably one of the most unsafe times, right, of the whole situation. Because, like you said, you gonna tell an abuser, a narcissistic abuser, that you leaving? They're not gonna just take that.
Not at all.
But then you gotta be you, and I'm not saying that you have to have it in the moment, but if a person doesn't think they can sustain themselves or their family when they leave, they're more susceptible to stay or to come back because at least they have shelter. At least
I hadn't even thought of that. You know, it was a big thing for my ex, you know, when you're married, to combine finances. And I still had my house in Cleveland. And I was renting an apartment in, you know, Columbus, and now we're married and I'm there. I had student loans, right? You know, all them degrees cost money. Right. I had real bills. And he like, we're going to combine finances and I'll take care of your bills. And I'm like, it sounds great, but it's a final notice for your bill on the table. So when I brought that up, he stopped sending the mail to the house. He had it sent to a P.O. box. So now I can't even see that you're not paying your bills. And I told you to switch flip when we were on our honeymoon. So when we were on our honeymoon, his mortgage people called him and said he hadn't paid the mortgage. He took money while we were on our honeymoon from marriage money that we were supposed to use for our honeymoon to pay his mortgage, and didn't say nothing to me. That was the first fight that we had when I got back, because his mother was supposed to pay for our rehearsal dinner, and at the time the bill came, she was in the bathroom. So my parents said, we'll pay for it, you just pay us back when you get back. So the money that he took to pay his mortgage was the money I was supposed to pay my parents back with. We get home and I say, okay, I'm gonna go to the bank and get that money for my parents. He never said, ain't no money over there. You know, he didn't say anything. So I go to the bank and the lady was like, come on over here. Like, why do you think you have money in your account? And she turned the computer around and it was $75. And I was like, so she shows me, because I had a debit card and he had a debit card. This was me trying the whole joint finance thing, right? This was, okay. So I go home And I say, hey, why didn't you tell me that you had taken that money out of the account? And he was like, if it's our money, why do I have to tell you anything? Then, then he was like, well, how do you know I took it? See how the crazy just comes right there? What do you mean? If I didn't take it, well,
Who
so
took it?
I'm pulling out papers to show him. He threw the papers in my face, and he said, if we married, right, I can do what I want with this money. So then, for the rest of our marriage, it was, well, we're just roommates if you don't want to combine finances. And I was like, see, there's a way to have a conversation about money that, and the whole time. I know this now, hindsight. He thought I made so much money, and turns out he made more than I did. So you just assumed, right? Oh, she's a lawyer. She's got this. She's got that. You made all of these assumptions, and you were better off financially than I ever was. So, and the whole combining finances was that. Oh my gosh, I would have never been able to leave. He would have ruined my credit. He wouldn't have paid that mortgage in my house. He'd have ruined. I knew this. And I would not. You're right. I would. The finances matter. I wouldn't have been able to leave if I had done it. I stood my ground on that one because it never made sense that I had to be bullied into that. And it was never a calm, kind conversation. It was just like, you owe this, kind of. And I was like, So when I got that apartment, I got it in my name because what else, all of my medical and stuff was in Columbus, so I couldn't just run back home. But the minute, oh my gosh, after she was born, we was in Cleveland less than a week later. I'm like,
that financial abuse is such a real thing. And that's why it's so important, that as women, you have something that is your own. It's okay to share finances, definitely, but you have to be careful. You always have to protect yourself as well too. So now I had a conversation with my therapist one time, and I was, going through a really hard time. And she had one question for me, and it really made me stop and think. She said, what does self-care look like for you in this moment? And I didn't have nothing. I realized I was not taking care of myself. The weight going up and just, I'm stress eating. I'm a stress eater, y'all. I used to be skinny, but I stress eat. So I that's something that I'm working on. But it just really made me think, what does self-care look like for you all in that moment versus well, I don't want to talk about now because we're going to get to now, but what does self-care look like for you in that moment?
In that moment, self-care is boundaries for me.
Beautiful.
It's boundaries.
And how come nobody ever taught us that we needed them?
I don't know.
Not one person, no shade to our parents, but nobody ever said, you allowed to say, I don't like this. This doesn't feel good, and I don't want it. Nobody ever said.
Because then you telling them no too, and they don't want that.
Right? Like
boundaries apply to everybody.
Even more so in terms of like relationships. When we were dating in high school and college, nobody ever said. We were taught no means no. Like if you don't want to have sex, that was a boundary we were taught, but nobody ever taught you emotional boundaries.
Well, I think just a lot of stuff. I don't know. I feel like we're a generation that just talks, and I think it started with us. We just talk about more stuff, right? And I'll be honest with y'all. I mentioned how close my mom and I are, but this here period was a trying time for us because she was like, I don't understand. I don't understand how you, my child, could allow somebody to do this to you. I didn't raise you like I didn't raise you like that. Right?
Yeah, I can hear it too. I hear it.
Right. And so it was a mess. It was a mess. But it's no shot to her, right? She had her own stuff going on too. I said at the time, my stepfather had a stroke. And so he went from, fixing houses to being bedridden. And so she was like, I need you. And I'm like, I'm the child. I can't help you. And
I'm out of pocket right now.
And she's like, well, why can't you come over? And I'm like, because I now know what boundaries mean. I now know what boundaries look like. I have to take care of me. I have to make sure that my mind is okay because I can't help you. Right. It's just like, I remember one of my friends who's a counselor was like, it's just like your airplane ride. When the oxygen mask come down, you got to put yours on first. Right. And so if I'm over here fighting myself, battling myself and my mentals of how could I allow myself to do this, I can't then come over to your house and you asking me how could I allow it to happen because I am your child. This don't have nothing to do with you. Right. And so I got to get myself into a position to where I can handle that conversation.
Yeah.
Right. And so, it was rough, but for me, it was all about boundaries. I had to put myself in spaces where I
Yeah.
felt safe.
Yeah.
Right. I had to put myself in places where I was with someone who wouldn't ask me not one question
Yeah.
other than, what do you need?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Do you want to talk about it? Do you want some ice cream, some Oreos, some wine? You want to watch
Mm-hmm.
wrestling? Like, what do you need? And that's what I surrounded myself with.
Yeah.
And I just had to establish some peace. And Stephanie, you said it a long time ago, but it took me a minute to get back to that, because I was
Yeah.
like, I have to take care of me. I have put everybody in front of me my whole life, right? I was always trying to people please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is what it culminated into. I can't keep doing it.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was, for me, that was it. And people who are older than me are like, I don't understand how you got there in the first place. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, it ain't your journey. It's not for you to understand.
That's
And
right.
I ain't about to try to explain nothing to you.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. It happened. It's over. Now I got to figure out how to build myself back up.
That's
Right.
it.
And so
That's
you
it.
either gonna help me, or you gonna go and get until until I figure it out, and then I'll talk to you later.
Not gonna get. Yeah. Stephanie, how about you? What does self-care look like for you?
I think mine was different because I was pregnant. So
Yeah.
it looked like massages.
Mm-hmm.
I looked over my shoulder a lot at this point because I just always knew, that I wasn't quite free.
Mm-hmm.
But I did therapy consistently.
Yeah.
And I would journal. That was the other thing. I'm big on writing it down because it's a goal. Once you write it down, it's a plan, right? Like, how am I going to? The other thing though, because we were so young.
Yeah.
And I hadn't decided at that point in life that I never wanted another relationship. But you're also like, oh my gosh, never again. But I had to do my work to figure out how I got here.
Yeah.
So that was also a part of my self-care. I started with my dad and my stepmom asking questions and dissecting and learning. And then I went to my mother, and then I went to the pastor, all of our safe spaces or whatever. I started asking the hard questions. And then I did a lot of self-reflecting because I was big on not passing down generational curses. I was big on, when we grew up, it was like women and children were to be seen and not heard, right? So I told my daughter all the time, I want you to take up space, like own it.
Yeah.
Then in music, like in general, the idea that gospel music, like just a nice concert, something that it just set with my spirit, that it would calm me, So I started to find the things that calm me. So the journaling and I would go places to see concerts and that kind of thing. And the other thing that I was cognizant that I would do is, if home wasn't right, I would bury myself in work. And now I don't have the ability to do that because home is a munchkin. Now I got a baby to take care of.
Right.
So I started to figure out the new thing that everybody knows now is the work-life balance.
Yes.
How does that work? But I was in therapy once a week, and I never missed. Even if the appointments were late at night or super early in the morning, even if I just needed a shoulder to cry on. And I was bedridden for the last 2 months of my pregnancy, so I couldn't go anywhere. And my parents had to come. They swapped weekends. Winnie and Dad would come one weekend, and then my mom would come during the week.
Yeah.
And I felt so pitiful and so helpless, and I was so sad that I had to have them care for me at this. But when I look back on it now, it's probably the safest that I've ever felt in my entire life. Nesting with my baby and trying to get, but then you have to unlearn some habits and some behaviors, and having difficult conversations. Like Tamia, you were saying your mom didn't understand, having these conversations with my parents, because I had been trying to tell you. And old school would be like, well, a woman keep a marriage together, and why didn't you know this beforehand? You have all of these questions. You didn't see no red flags before. How many times do I have to answer for y'all? If I did, I would not have jumped in it, right? if going in, I was like, this is trash. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I will do it anyway. Like, that's not how we do it. That's not
Right.
how it happens, you know? And maybe because for them too, they're like, you're too smart for this to have happened. It was a lot of that, the guilt and the shame of it. But then I went further and I started talking to domestic violence victims. I started volunteering so that I could talk through, and a lot of it was triggering. So I then had to come back and do some, you know, some more work on myself, because it's not the world's job not to trigger you. You got to work on not being
That's
triggered.
right.
So
That's
I
right.
can't be in a space to help people and we both balled up crying about it, you know, 10 minutes later. There was always work to be done. But you know, to me and I have had our discussions about our histories, because you wonder, you know, how did we are smart, we are pretty, you know, God chose us for, you know, certain adventures and journeys, and how we end up in these situations with just bad people, flat out. I mean, well, however you got to be who you are, that's your work and your journey, and you got to answer to God for your behavior. But it was a lot of just acknowledging I'm worth more. And then when you start to feel better, you start to attract better.
Yeah.
You want more for yourself. You can be open to receiving more for yourself. But there's a lot of us after something like this where your mind just compartmentalizes. You shut things off so that you don't remember, so that you're not triggered. And then out of nowhere, it'll be a smell in the kitchen or a song, you know, and you right back there. You are
them
right
songs,
back there.
honey. Them songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I could say that was one part that could be forgotten easily, but those types of things. My daughter made a comment a couple years ago. She said she felt invisible. And I had hoped that she didn't mean it the way that I meant it when I knew what I felt, but we had to unpack it. Right. We had to unpack it immediately, because I was like, wait a minute.
Right.
You know, but and even for her, therapy. I do therapy for her.
That's good.
We do journal. We do a gratitude journal. So we wake up every day and write down something we're grateful for, and it could be the biggest thing or the smallest thing. But I'm very big on being grateful and gratitude, because, like Tamia said, he could have took me out. And I know it. I won't even go. I don't even have to share them. But you know it. You know how close you came. You know, and the fact that I'm still here is for a purpose. So
that's it. That's it. I want to talk about faith. As you said, Stephanie, we all grew up in church. We all grew up in church. So what effect did what you went through, what effect did that have on your relationship with God? What was your relationship with God like at that time?
I think that I was confused. I wasn't angry with God, and I've never been a why me. I've always been a why not me. You got this, right? Like, so it was happening, and I was embarrassed and I was ashamed. And I remember coming home to church, and I was still pregnant, you know, right? So you have that mommy glow, and you're supposed to be smiling, and I'm, you know, long faced, and what I'm gonna do. And I remember I told Pastor, anybody say something left, when I come to church, I'm gonna have a problem. One of them old school saints better not come to me and ask me about. That's what I mean. I'm not answering. I don't owe anybody an explanation for why I'm here or in this position or anything of that nature. And he said he would make sure that nobody said anything. And so when I came back to church, they surrounded me and they prayed for me.
Beautiful.
I received it. I received it. It's something about being so low that all you can do is look up. And you didn't intentionally stumble. I mean, but we all have, life is peaks and valleys. We all have stuff, right? But you think you're gonna be low because somebody died, or you think you're gonna be low because you lost your job, or, you know, so those are things that your mind can conceive. I didn't conceive this for myself. I didn't see this as a part of my life or my journey. So just to be so low, literally, I've had my daughter when I was 39. I'm a grown woman, and my parents got to come cook food for me and take care of me. I was so low. But it was something about my stepmother. God bless her soul. I have never known a woman like this. She would, every week. She would send me a copy of the sermon. She would send me gospel CDs. She would send me like little devotionals and prayer cards.
Mhm.
And they would just hold me and sing. And I felt God. I never felt closer to God
Wow.
because he is with you at your lowest. I mean,
Yeah.
he's definitely with you at your highest.
Mhm.
But there were things that were being worked out for me then that there's no way for you to know because you just hurting, so much at the time. And then you have my mother is like, come on, we got to have a healthy baby. You can't be sad. You can't be
Mhm.
stressed,
Yeah.
right? You're doing all of this. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
it's all of this, but it was, I'm always reminded when, like I told you, that Brillo pad of anxiety, I go right to my Bible now. It's because that's telling me something. Whatever is
Mhm.
happening, only God can be there with me. So it increased my faith. I was ashamed and I was embarrassed, and I maybe I should have prayed differently beforehand, and I wouldn't have had this, or but I never wavered because I'm not a why me person.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
figured God brought me here, and you're not gonna leave me here. I knew that, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it was just a little encouragement of you got this, and that's what Winnie would say. You in a valley, baby, but that's where God finds us, right?
Mm.
So it increased my faith.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. T, how about you?
So it's beautiful to hear Stephanie because I feel like while we run in parallel, like everything is flipped,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
And so she came home pregnant and got loved on. Well, my situation terminated at the heart of COVID. So guess what? Church was
Mm.
closed,
Yep.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
right? And so
Mhm.
going into COVID,
Yeah.
him and I were going to church together,
Mhm.
Mhm.
right? I
Mhm.
told y'all, he praying over me after, on my way to work, right? Like, did you read your Bible? What did you get? We're doing, the Bible app has the study programs you can do together.
Right.
That's what our life looks like, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
And so then I run away from him and I run to God, but I can't run to church, which is what I
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
right? And it stayed closed.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
And so what I started doing was looking for God and his beauty outside of church. And
Mm.
I got enough of y'all churchy friends, right? I can call you and call anybody and
Mhm.
have service, right?
Yeah.
I can turn on any gospel, John P. Key, Fred Hammond, and
Mhm.
I'll tear this floor up by
Yep.
myself, right? But I started to feel like while I went through that, I know I still have to build myself up, right? And
Mhm.
I just wanted God's beauty to remind me of my own.
Mhm.
So
Mm.
I started seeking out like the metro parks, nature centers, and I would walk. I would walk, and again, it was COVID, so you couldn't go anywhere,
Right.
right? And so
Mhm.
being outside was allowed.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so as soon as the weather was nice, me and God would walk, and I would listen to Joyce Myers.
Yep.
I would listen to, and I still to this day, I listen to Stephen Furtick.
I
Um,
like him.
right. So Gracefully Broken, which was my former company, that's how I got Gracefully Broken's name, listening to Tasha Cobb. And one day it was like, that's it.
Mhm.
So for me, I had to fight to, because I was like, Lord, I did all these things, and I don't get me wrong. I am well aware of where my faults were. Ain't nobody tell you to be out here with this man doing what you're doing. I
Mhm.
get all that, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But
Skip that part. That's the judgment part. Like,
Yeah.
I know. But I'm like, God, you know my heart. And so I really just had to submerge myself in all things beauty,
yeah.
all
Mhm.
things godly, all things love.
Yeah.
And so, but that's what I did. I walked and walked and walked. Even some of my therapy was walking. My therapist was my sorority sister. And so I would call her like, hey, I need a session. And she would be like, where we walking? And so I still do it. That's one of the things that I still do. I put on my phone, my headphones, and I'm listening to stuff. I'm listening to my gospel. I'm listening to my sermons. When I'm on my treadmill, I'm listening to sermons.
Yeah.
I just have to inundate myself with stuff.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, y'all, we just about out of time. This conversation was so good. It was so good. I want to ask you one more question. What do you know now that you wish you had known before?
I'm enough. I'm worthy.
Baby, top to bottom.
Yeah.
You more than enough.
I'm more than, and I am his. I am his.
It is very powerful and strong for women to support other women. Because what I know now is that I was a maid of honor for one of my best girlfriends, and 6 months into her marriage, she left her husband. She never said anything because we be ashamed and we be embarrassed and how I'm explain to people. But if she'd have told me that, I would have never married mine.
Yeah.
Right. Because you would start to, I won't say self-doubt, but you would, let me analyze some other stuff because I thought I knew. And if they couldn't make it, you know what I'm saying? Like, but we don't talk. So you have to share because it is the scars now. These are not open wounds anymore. You have to share with people because you are helping somebody not take the same path that you took, or even if it just helps you look at your relationship differently, because you can't love somebody enough for the both of you. You can't put in all the work and pour into somebody who never pours into you. You can't live without boundaries. You cannot. So you have to trust your gut and your intuition and your instincts. They don't lead you wrong. It's us going against what our instincts tell us to try to. You have to trust your gut. You have to. And you can never forget that God is in the smallest details. You know, when I look at life now, as we approaching our 50s, I look at life now, God factored in your stupidity with your blessings. He knew exactly what you were going to do. So I hear you saying, I wasn't supposed to be in this relationship because it wasn't. Please. Because we're not going to pretend that our saints didn't do stuff. Everybody has sinned and fallen short of God's grace. But God factored in your stupidity with your blessings. So he knew what you were going to do. Now, the next part of it is, are you going to do your work to get to the next part of the blessing, right? We don't want to be in a position where we're praying and asking, but we haven't done our work. So when the blessings come for you, not only are you not prepared for them, your overflow has been there the whole time and you can't receive it because you're too busy with your hands full of other stuff. So be aware of, okay, God, I'm feeling this kind of way. Can we talk about it? Or is this in your will? Keep having those conversations. When we fail, we were immersed in God. Don't stand up and get out of it. Stay immersed in God. Put that armor on every day because he is going before you. He is literally preparing a table before your enemies. And I remember asking, why is it before my enemies? And my stepmother said, so they can see God's glory through you, baby.
Yes.
Because for some of these people, men, women, and indifferent, you're going to be the only face of God that there is. They'll never, because some of them ain't going to church. They're not going to watch church on TV, right? So the only Christianity, the only humanity, the only forgiveness that they'll ever see is through you. And to teach another woman, you can forgive. You don't got to put yourself back in that situation. You don't have to harbor it. You don't have to blame yourself. You don't have to blame him. I can forgive you. I want you to eat, just not at my table. Boundaries. Like, we have to learn how to love on ourselves so that we can love on each other without that guilt, that shade, that mean girl. Well, why didn't you know? We have to do better.
I heard something
go ahead.
It said sometimes you don't go through things for yourself, you go through them for others. Right. And so what I found was that telling my story was freeing. Right. When I left, I took a lot of guilt, I took a lot of shame, I took a lot of embarrassment. But it was like, did y'all see the movie what was the Will Smith movie? And it was when he was a superhero and him and his wife
Hancock. That's my movie.
Oh, okay.
So remember every step he took away from her, he got stronger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on now, preach to you. Where's my tambourine? That's good.
So I felt like every time I told my story, I felt stronger.
Yeah.
Every time I told my story, I felt more healed.
Yeah.
right? And I wasn't just telling my story to anybody that will listen. I know this story is going to reach the ears of somebody who needs to hear it. It's going
Needs
to
to hear it.
empower somebody. It's going to encourage somebody. And so when you talk about, speaking to other women, my thought process is God saved me for
Yeah.
sure,
Mhm.
right? And so I have to show you that he can save you too,
Mhm.
right? And however that looks for you, just know that there is healing on the other side,
Yeah.
right? You just got to be strong enough to take that first step,
Yep.
right?
And that you worth saving, no matter how long you've been in it,
Yeah,
you're worth saving. You
Yeah.
are.
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And T, I know I said we were finishing up, but I wanted to talk real quick about the your organization, the project that you're working on right now. If you could tell a little bit about that. You talked about going from pain to purpose, and what are you doing now
Right.
in that purpose?
So like we said, the financial piece to surviving abuse is huge. And so there's shelters and there's group homes and there's the things, right? But my vision was to allow women and women with children, women only, to allow them a space to heal, but then restore and rehabilitate and be ready to get back into the world independently. Right. And so I didn't want them to have a space where they're in a shelter, everybody's sharing the bathroom. And I wanted them to have a space that they can call their own.
Yeah.
And in this space, you learn a trade, you learn financial stability, you learn how to heal emotionally, spiritually, physically, right? There's workout programs. You get yourself to a space, and in 2 years, you have recovered. And I almost say recovered because it's a process, right? We're always learning, we're always healing. We're
Right.
like Stephanie, you said something that almost triggered me. And we went through it, it's always going to be there, right? But how we handle it, how we move on from it, how we allow it to affect us is the work that we do. And
Right.
so I want to get these women to a place to where 2 years from now they feel like I got this. And if it happens before, great. But by 2 years, that's a healthy grieving time. It's a healthy healing time. In 2 years, you have taken the steps to either purchase the home on your own or purchase a new home. But whatever the case may be, that the financial piece is what I want them to have the true independence of. So they don't have to go back. You ain't got to go back.
I love that. Do you have a website or anything set up yet for that?
Not yet, not yet. I will
Okay.
get that over to you. It's actually in the works.
Okay.
So as soon as it is all finalized, I'll get that over to you.
Okay, gotcha. And if we have it, we'll go ahead on and put it in the show notes,
Okay.
so that people can follow up
Okay.
with you. I am really, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. This was an amazing show. It was helpful, I know, to somebody that was going through. You all showed us how you went through it and how you came out. And I really appreciate you for coming on, being vulnerable, sharing your story. I know it blessed somebody. I know it blessed a lot of people. So I just want to thank y'all again. All right. Well, you guys, that's all we have time for today. Join us next week for another crazy good episode, right? But until then, I want you all to be encouraged, be empowered, and be blessed. Peace, y'all.